you truly have trouble buying that she would have said, you know what? Forgive my language, but to hell with it all. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. I don't want it.
I don't
if
believe
this is the way it is, let's get rid of him too.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. And that's not to knock Rick Bucher, who doesn't, he's done an exceptional job for years covering the NBA. I'm certainly not here to cast any aspersions on my buddy, who, again, knows what the hell he's talking about. But I think in this particular instance, somebody has misrepresented Jeannie Buss's position. I've spoken to Jeannie Buss. I just spoke to her last week. She loves LeBron James. She appreciates him coming to the Los Angeles Lakers franchise. She appreciates what he brings to the Lakers franchise, particularly from a business perspective. I think that even though Rich Paul goes about the business of striving to cultivate relationships with everybody, I think he has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I'm not saying it as a criticism towards him. It's just that him representing LeBron and Ben Simmons and John Wall and, just getting Draymond Green and various others. When they came out with the news 10 days before the trading deadline that Anthony Davis wants out of New Orleans and he wants to go to L.A., that rubbed the entire NBA community the wrong way. Excuse me, rubbed everybody the wrong way. You had folks from other teams on the phone with the New Orleans Pelicans. Whatever you do, you better not trade him to the Los Angeles Lakers. And there seemed to be this concerted effort. I don't want to use the word collusion, but damn sure mingling is appropriate.
But if the shoe fits?
I mean, if the shoe fits, it is what it is. You have people that rallied against it. When you hear stories now that the Pelicans are not going to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers, you know what you're hearing? You're hearing about ownership, having a problem with a guy like Rich Paul. Now, again, you've got players like Draymond Green and others that look at Rich Paul and they saying this young brother trying to be on the come up. Excuse me, they don't like the fact that he's getting a lot of vitriol aimed in his direction.
I want to hit on that real quick.
But you got black and white agents who speak against him. You got black and white executives who speak against him. So it's getting tricky in that regard.
Let me just real quick before we move on. I know there's more to get to on the topic. As it relates to Rich Paul, if I'm an NBA player and I see owners speaking out against Rich Paul, essentially.
Yep.
But star players keep signing with him.
That's right.
It's not because he's a young black man who's representing.
That's right.
No.
It ain't racist.
Because the color everyone cares about is green. And they're buying the players are buying what Rich Paul is selling. And the reason is he's selling well, including to the owners who therefore resent him.
There is one agent that they used to talk that way about. Because listen, you got a lot of sensational agents. Schwartz, Pelinka was damn good in some people's eyes. Jeff Wexler, he represents Kyrie. He's pretty damn good. Don't get me started with Bill Duffy, the Goodwin brothers. They know what they're doing. But in the case of Rich Paul, you know the way they're talking about him. You know who they talked about in terms of the vitriol. You know who they talked about like that? David Falk.
Right.
Back in the day.
Super agent.
They talked about David Falk that way, too. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what they're going to start doing is looking at the contracts that Rich Paul gets and the ones he doesn't get. And you're going to see people trying to bring more and more attention to that as time moves on.
I hear you. Comparisons to David Falk can be seen as a compliment when you're in that business. Neither of you buy this story about Jeannie Buss considering trading LeBron. Let me see if you buy this. In the same article by Rick Bucher, an anonymous Western Conference GM had interesting comments to Bucher about LeBron's impact on team decisions made by general managers. Said this: even if you're solid in your job, you know that anywhere LeBron goes, suddenly you're under the gun. Your only choice is to give him the keys and let him run it. And even if you didn't want that, your owner might, because he doesn't have to deal with what comes with it. Max, do you agree?
No, I don't. Because look, where did I think LeBron should have gone? I thought he should have gone to San Antonio. I kept saying it because Popovich is there. You know where he didn't just get whatever he wanted, but he did win a couple of championships? The Miami Heat, because Pat Riley's running the show. Yes, you have to have strong, respected leadership at the very top of your organization, but if you have that and you're a solid GM, you're okay. You're okay. If you go to an organization without that figure on the top, then you can't just be a solid GM. Then yes, LeBron's, you're going to have to give him the keys. That's some franchises, the Miami Heat, the San Antonio Spurs. There are a couple of franchises where it's fine. What you're really talking about is it's not enough to just be a solid GM. You have to have someone running basketball operations with the gravitas that can tell LeBron, nope, we're not going to do it that way.
Max, you're factually incorrect, with all due respect. Number one, anywhere LeBron goes, it's going to be saddled with expectations. It's just that simple. We're not talking about Luke Walton being the next coach of the UCLA Bruins if it were not for if LeBron James were not in LA. It's because he's in LA and the expectations that came with him that Luke Walton is a one-year coach and he's going to be out the door. I'll give you another example. Shaquille O'Neal goes to Miami back in the day, okay? He goes to Miami early 2000s, what is it, 2004, 2005, somewhere around there, okay? First year, they lose in the conference finals to the Detroit Pistons. Stan Van Gundy doesn't survive a second year. Pat Riley ultimately pushes him out and takes over. Why? Because with Shaquille O'Neal there and Alonzo Mourning there and Dwayne Wade there, the expectation was championship. It wasn't there until Shaquille O'Neal arrived. But once he arrived, it elevated to championships. When you are a player the magnitude of a LeBron James, who, by the way, has a personality and a reputation that you're going to have to give him the keys to the throne. The fact of the matter, that part is accurate.
Okay, but real quick, this isn't just about living up to expectations. It's about, according to this GM, relinquishing control to LeBron as well.
Again, to some degree, they're absolutely right, because even though he's not, it's like we were calling him the de facto GM in Cleveland. That wasn't the case.
But not in Miami. Why?
No, because of Pat Riley. But understand this. If Eric Spoelstra hadn't won,
yeah, of course.
Then, excuse me, LeBron would have been like, we got to get him up out of here. But you can't walk in the door and want Eric Spoelstra gone before you have a chance to pass gas. You can't do that.
Yeah, but you know
you gotta let something materialize first.
They lost in the finals, and I'm quite sure LeBron had a lot of questions throughout that first season.
No. He had questions early through the season.
Yeah.
But that finals, that was on him.
No doubt.
That was on him.
And
that's why he couldn't question it.
Isn't the Miami experience and Pat Riley the exception to this rule?